So the piece of land that we're restoring looks like this. Now this is caused by a couple of years of my in-laws grazing sheep and then us using this as a horse camp. Now this is obviously a mistake. Um, Sheep should be kraalled. Our sheep is now permanently in the enclosure. They're happy enough, we feed them. We will only, I think, let them out again once we have a movable structure so they can eat. That will remove some labor from us so we don't have to cut grass and feed them. But for now, while our land looks like this, we cut grass different places and we feed them. But this is basically what we've settled ourselves with. And obviously that's terrible. So this is the first area of restoration. This is just normal chop and drop bankrupt bush like this, and then we cut more bankrupt bush, and bankrupt bush is this velvety plant here. Now what's a miracle about these plants is once they've been cut, like these ones have been cut about 2 weeks ago, once they've been cut they grow back quite good fast. You see there, these dots was where we've cut them a little bit ago, and then they grow back, and then we harvest them again, and we use that as our chop and drop. Oh, bankrupt bush, sorry, quickly wanna move this. Bankrupt bush is hated throughout Namibia because that's also the reason why they call it bankrupt bush. It's not palatable for a lot of animals. And at first I thought even my termites will not eat them. I've got some pet termites on the land here. Let me show you. See if I can get a good shot of this. This is a heap of bankrupt bush that we left, and so the termites didn't bother too much by not eating them. They really enjoyed them, but they then leave a wonderful dark soil filled with organic matter. So if you take some termite soil, there's no more moisture in that, and you put it versus other soil, you can clearly see how much of a better soil that is. Okay, so this is what we're aiming for. So both of these things are hated in Namibia, termites and bankrupt bush, and we are using both of them to regenerate the land. Now you must excuse the mess a little bit here. Where the pig tractor was, we are still cleaning it, but I do want to show you what we have accomplished. So just to give you a quick idea, this is the land we're working with. That is where the pig tractor started. That's some leftovers that we used for the chickens. There's lots of chicken manure dropped here. Lots some orange peels, lots of things. This is some old bedding, and basically as fast as you can add bedding, so fast the pigs will move that into the soil. So we've placed some bedding in there 2 days ago, and we are putting bedding in there again for them. They do eat the bankrupt bush. I'm not sure, well, I'm quite sure that it's not the best for their weight gain, but because we don't buy food, we pick up food from the shops, we're okay if they gain a little bit slower. What is more important to us is turning the soil into living soil. So here you can see one of the corners that they were at. Lots of sticks, lots of, let me see if I can open this quickly. It is quite hard. The wood is in there. Sorry, camera fell over. I'm sure if I push a fork in here we can quickly see. Enzo, take that thing quickly and dig in here. I know it's not the right tool for it, but I quickly want to show the camera. Just open the land for me best you can. Yeah, just like that. Okay. Okay, now that way. So in here, that's fine. That's organic matter. All right, so that is basically the job of these pigs. They are now in an L shape. The smaller ones have got a bit of a bigger space. and then the older ones, I've got a little bit of a smaller space. And the other thing that we're doing is we're taking all the small trees that's left. Even this one specifically is now an invasive species, but it does still generate shade and it does generate biomatter. But what we would like to do, Enzo, you can start cutting so I can show them. What we are trying to do is turn this little shrub into a tree. So we cut off the stems that's too big, and then we cut off all the smaller ones, and we turn this, we leave it as for one stem. We can take everything off at the bottom, I think then. No, not that one. Yeah, or just a small one. Oh yeah, sorry, you understand. And so then we turn all the shrubs or all the trees that was damaged by animals in the past, we turn those into trees. Now your survival rate on a tree like that is almost 100%. The only thing that will damage it is if you bring back animals. So your very first thing we do is we remove the animals, and then we take it from there. Now this is the area that we want to turn into the new food forest, but we don't necessarily want to remove any of the native trees for many years to come. We'll use them to chop and drop, create shade, etc. Now this was basically our own doing, the damage on that land. I said to myself, I justified it to myself, saying that the horses needs the space. It's true, the horses does need the space, but you can also give the horses the space by just having them exercise every day, and they do now. There's many children on the land constantly, and they're always with the horses. So quick, I want to see if I can get some space. And so they exercise the horses. So there's no need to give them this bigger space and for them to damage it. A horse in Namibia shouldn't almost exist. It's a foreign animal to the land. There is almost not farms big enough that can handle horses. You know, the farms with 6,000 and 7,000 hectares and so on, yes, those ones can, if you let them run into the wild. But our land, in a manageable area, you know, if you have 6,000 hectares and you put a horse in there, you're not going to find him again. You'll have food, but it's difficult to manage. Our land is so weak, our carrying capacity is so weak that we can't necessarily have horses. So wherever you're going to put a horse, there's going to be damaged land. So we're basically spacing them on the border, and the paddocks becomes damaged land. Nothing will grow there ever again. We are working on the system to be able to move them like we move the pigs across the land, and have them graze and move and graze and move and graze and move. There's a chance, especially if we can irrigate, that will be sufficient, and that we will actually increase the viability of the land and carrying capacity of the land. There's definitely a chance for that. If you look at the camps where they're standing now, you know, the manure becomes so thick, and there's I so much say to my wife, these things are landscape engineers. If you can just move them across the land, we're working on that. We'll get to that at some stage. Yeah, at the moment we can't get rid of the horses because it's just too many children that enjoys them, and my wife really enjoys them. But the way we did it was definitely not a sustainable way. They're now in smaller camps on the edge of the property. They damage that land, but it becomes a fire break. I don't have to worry about fires, because right around the property there's an edge that's sort of eaten away by the horses, where the fire can't come over. So using again the negative part of the horses as a positive thing for the land, if that makes any sense. Right, I think that's going to be the end of my story for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.